Anthony Davis. He's a good guy, I presume. I don't know him personally, but I have to assume that. He's been awesome this season, as he's been one of the best players in the NBA. That being said, his team, the New Orleans Pelicans, it hasn't been going as hot. They could still make the playoffs because the 8th seed in the West drops off drastically from the top 7. But even then, it's not like it's just been all sunshine and rainbows for these guys. It would be nice if he had a second player to really do stuff, and Drew Holiday's return definitely saw some improvement for this team, but I think some people were perhaps a little alarmed at how slowly Buddy Hield took to really get acclimated to the NBA, but over the past month, he's actually been on fire for these guys. But the first month and a half was not very pretty for Buddy. And when he was drafted from Oklahoma, shooting was his thing. It seemed like he was going to be a knockdown marksman from the perimeter. It took him a minute to get adjusted to the NBA. As in the first month and a half, he shot 27% from 3 while also taking about 4.5 threes a game. So he was jacking them up there, and he was expecting them to drop, and it just wasn't happening. It's kind of like when you try to play 2K on Hall of Fame, and you think it's going well or you think it's going to go well, and then the CPU just BS's you the whole time. That was basically the equivalent of Buddy Hield's beginning of his NBA career, if that makes any sense at all, which I'm pretty sure it doesn't. However, like I mentioned, in the month of December, all these misses that are happening here, they just started to go away, as Buddy Hield over the last month shot 48% from 3, which, if I did better when it comes to research, I'm sure I could check and see where that ranks among the NBA in the month of December. I can't be bothered to do it, but I do know it's pretty damn good. And with Buddy, I think the one thing we saw this month from him was his ability to really move off of the ball. And when we talk about some of the best shooters of all time, with Reggie Miller and Ray Allen and Richard Hamilton, these guys were masters at moving off ball, running in transition and finding the open spot. They were also very good at playing off of guys who were driving to the basket, so you see someone attacking the defense and you slide over to the perfect spot on the perimeter to where you can receive a pass if the defense wants to help off of you, which the defense could do for him in the beginning of his career. It's not happening right now. If you leave Buddy open to defend Anthony Davis, let's say, which I will touch on more later, 3 points are going up on the board, and that's the first step towards being a great shooter, because being able to just put the ball in the basket, I mean, step 1, of course, but when you actually know how to get open and how to use off-ball screens and just know where to go, that's really how you become a top-notch shooter, which is what people expected from Buddy when he entered the NBA from his years in Oklahoma. But I do think Buddy has more skills than just being the next Kyle Korver. Well, besides the skin color, of course. So we'll touch on that one, because I actually think he's been doing a pretty decent job of, creating his own shots. I mean, the off-ball movement stuff is awesome, but I've also seen a bit of craftiness with him when it comes to the ball in his hands and ability to hit from mid-range. If you remember some of his crazy scoring outings in Oklahoma, a lot of the time he was doing his Steph Curry impression with pull-up threes and step-back threes and shots with guys in his face. I feel like he tried to do some of that in the NBA and it wasn't working from the three-point line, but it has been working for mid-range a bit. I really wish I could find something that would tell me his mid-range percentage in the month of December. I don't know where the hell it is, but based on what I've been seeing, it seems like he has kind of like that Jabari Parker, Paul Pierce ability of getting mid-range jump shots off even when he's closely defended, which means he actually could be able to create his own shots as he enters perhaps his second or third season in the NBA. He might be more than just a spot shooter for the New Orleans Pelicans. The pick and roll game is also real as well, as there have been times when he's been the guy bringing the ball up floor and he'll get a screen from Anthony Davis or the corpse of Omer Asik, who they better not be playing anymore, and he's pulling up for mid-range jumpers there too, so if you're giving him a little bit of space in the pick and roll, he can knock it down. And what's really intriguing for me is he's setting screens for the ball handler himself, which you don't often see from shooting guards, and it's actually resulted in some open shots for him there. So I think Buddy has potential to be a scorer besides just being a spot shooter. He's using the pick and roll, but he's also setting screens himself while being crafty for mid-range. It's interesting. So since Buddy has gotten it together with his shooting, let's see how he relates to the rest of this team. And of course, it starts with Anthony Davis. How can you play off of one of the 5, probably, best players in the league as a shooting guard? Well, it's one way is pretty easy. The defense is going to give a crap about him, and hopefully Buddy can play off of that. It would also be nice for Anthony Davis's playmaking to improve a bit, and if NBA defenses are going to be too dumb to where they help when there's only one pass away, then Buddy's going to find himself with a lot of knockdown threes from Anthony Davis because, I mean, I don't know about you, but if I was coaching against the Pelicans, I would have a lot of my defensive scheme to try to deal with AD as much as I can. And that is where someone like Buddy Hield can take advantage of it. He's also been around like league average from at the basket, which is pretty good. And if I look at a potential backcourt with Buddy Hield and Jrue Holiday, because they both can be outside shooters, and when you have a guy, again, like Anthony Davis, who commands so much attention from the defense, having 2 guards that he can kick out to who could be shooters could be pretty damn tough to defend. And Jrue, I mean, he's more of a creator than Buddy is, which makes sense because he is a point guard. So he and Anthony Davis can, of course, run their patented pick and roll stuff. But if Buddy keeps on improving in that area of the game, maybe he could be a sort of a combo guard for AD as well. Or maybe he won't, I have no idea. But I do know that Buddy Hield didn't have the easiest time starting his NBA career. But over the month of December, and it's moving into January now too, Buddy just seems like the player that everyone expected out of Oklahoma, which was someone who is a knockdown shooter, as he is showing that with his ability to move off ball, get open shots, know where to go to where the defense can't catch up to him if they have to help. He's also doing a decent job of creating his own shots, whether it be in the mid-range or in the pick and roll, which intrigues me, as well as setting screens for his teammates, which is something that guards just don't often do. So it seems like Buddy Hield really can be the scorer as well as the shooter. It just took a minute to get it going.